As of mid-July, schools in 160 countries were closed. That affects 1 billion children around the world, according to the latest figures from the UN. Here in the US, around the country, school districts are wondering how to safely reopen as the coronavirus continues to surge in hotspots. Federal health officials and the White House are pressing schools to reopen for in-person classes if they can. But that's up to local districts and parents to make the decision on whether safe is safe enough for them and what exactly does that look like. To try to answer some of these tough questions, we want to bring into the conversation our guest today, and that is DC Public Schools Chancellor Louis Ferebee. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
So each district is different, each state is different. How do you make decisions here in the district? Is there a model that you are looking at?
So I have the opportunity and pleasure to collaborate with colleagues across the nation to understand what's happening in other school districts in the United States. But here in DC, we lean a lot on the guidance from DC Health, who is in tune daily to the infection rate of COVID-19 in the district. They understand transmission, they understand community spread, and our ability to curb the virus here in the District of Columbia. So that's one part of it. The other part is ensuring that we continue to learn from and hear from our stakeholders. So over a couple months since the spring, we've had a huge engagement effort where we touched over 17,000 students, families, and staff members to help us think about what a safe and successful reopening to the 2021 school year could look like.
How do you judge safe? Is there a specific target range for case positivity in the area? When we've asked health officials, like the Surgeon General, he said anywhere between 5 and 10% is an area of concern.
So the District of Columbia, infection rate positivity rate has been relatively low. And we've done a great job with, curbing the virus here in the District of Columbia. However, there are many other factors associated with community spread that, I want to speak to, as I don't have the details and the expertise, but that's something that we get from DC Health, and we're in regular communication with their team around whether or not the conditions are appropriate for in-person instruction. However, I do want to call out the other challenge that we have is to ensure that we have the appropriate workforce. We have the workforce that is willing, ready, and able to also go into the classroom and go into our buildings and provide support and instruction for our students.
So if a teacher has concerns or health issues, what happens to their job?
Yeah, so we're currently working through that with the Washington Teacher Union. We have provided a operations handbook to our bargaining units here in the District of Columbia with DC Public Schools to guide our thinking and also to provide the details on the cleaning protocols, the procedures for arrival and dismissal, how we will respond to a COVID-19 case in our building, and how disinfecting will occur throughout the building and throughout the day. And so all of that is spelled out, and we're continuing to be in conversation with the local teacher union to address any concerns they have related to safety.
From what I understand, Mayor Bowser, who is the mayor here in the District of Columbia, has decided that term 1, and that's August 31st through November 6th, will all be virtual, not in person. But when it comes to doing this virtually, there are a lot of challenges, including access to a working internet and Wi-Fi. How do you overcome that, particularly for children whose parents can't afford spending more or don't have the ability to access internet?
We provide students with devices and we connect them to the internet. And we've been assessing, our students' access to a device over the summer. And along with that, we've also been assessing internet access. So as of right now, we've heard from about 20,000 students and families, and about half of them say they have a device, indicate they have a device that will operate our platforms. And about 20% have indicated that they need support with internet connectivity. So we'll provide support with LTE devices and also give them access to broadband high-speed internet. We believe that this is our way of closing that digital divide.
So the challenges that you had with that quick shutdown when the virus first surged in the spring, will all those problems be fixed by the time you go back to in-person learning?
So in the spring, we distributed devices, but on March 13th, we made the decision to close school for a period of time. We didn't know how long. And the hope was that we were coming back to school. And once it became clearer that this was going to be an extended period of time, we started to distribute devices. And we distributed approximately 10,000 devices, about 4,000 hotspots for internet access in the spring. And students have been able to utilize those devices over the summer as well. And they'll carry them with them into the 2021 school year.
But for some of those families, even the help that you're providing is still a challenge, particularly if there's a language barrier. What do you do for children who are trying to learn at home and learn virtually, whose parents don't speak English, for example?
Yeah, so we learned a lot from the spring, and we took a lot of feedback and input to help drive our improvement efforts over the summer to prepare for the 2020 school year. Translation was one of the needs that were called out, and we purchased some additional software that allows us to translate content, also to build out a team that can also help our educators with translation to ensure that they're getting content out in appropriate languages to our students and families. So we anticipate a much better run with that particular challenge as we prepare for the 2021 school year.
Is the bottom line here just that there is going to be a lag, that there will be a cost to this shutdown, to this pandemic for our children?
Well, our goal is always to minimize any loss of learning and also to be supportive of students and their social, emotional, and health needs. And so from a health perspective, we know that vaccinations are down and we're supporting families with getting that done. And that can be done through our school buildings in partnership with DC Health. For mental health supports, we've been providing a number of opportunities for students over the summer to talk to an adult, to talk about some of the trauma they may have experienced. And we'll go into the school year with similar approaches. And academically, I think the first thing we want to do and do it well is understand where students are academically, what they have not mastered. For many of our students in grades 3, 6, and 9, that'll start with a jump start to the school year with what we call summer bridge, which will be 2 weeks before school starts. And then as school starts, we'll also administer assessments to understand where students are and intervene accordingly. And we're prepared to have robust interventions throughout the 2021 school year.
You recently surveyed families in the nation's capital about their school preference, and 52% of families showed a preference for in-person learning instead of virtual. So what is going to determine whether you go back to in-person learning?
What we heard from families is there's a desire to have choice. And we were creating that opportunity for choice by producing a plan that allows for families to choose what we call hybrid instruction, which is the ability to have in-person instruction for 2 days a week and to learn at home 3 days a week. And the reason being is we know we can't have all of our students in our building and practice appropriate social distancing. And so that's the reason there that the hybrid approach would be our in-person strategy. And then we were also providing families with the option of solely virtual for those families that did not want to pursue a hybrid approach with in-person instruction.
Particularly for low-income families. We know low-income parents have been hit particularly hard, but for the children themselves, what are you doing to help some of those children who rely on being able to go into schools to even just get a meal on a daily basis?
Yeah, we have provided meals for families throughout the spring and the summer. We've provided close to 1 million meals, about close to 900,000 meals. And we've done that with a commitment to providing students with actually 2 meals. So they get lunch, and then they also get a non-perishable breakfast for the following day. And then at several of our sites, we have what we call family grocery meals, where families can get meals and take home for the entire family for a period of time. And so really pleased that we've been able to provide those meals, and it's something, whether we're in person or we're solely virtual, that we'll continue to provide that service to our communities.
Absolutely a critical service. Mr. Chancellor, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us today.
My pleasure.